welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be taking this old figure here. Well, I think Elite, I'll get exact details in a minute, but one of the older Elite Christians. I have the shirt, I had to wash it, I bought it off of eBay, it looked kind of dirty. So, washed the shirt. We're going to be taking that figure and turning it into an Ultimate today. So I wanted to take you through the process. I'll be using an older Stone Cold. They have the best of wave Stone Cold now, so I'm, replacing my older ones with the newer updated arms and everything. So I figured, let's take the old one, turn them into an Ultimate for a figure that we won't get an Ultimate of, at least anytime soon. So, that's going. Right now I have my water starting up. I know a lot of people say not to use boiling water because it can morph the figures or damage them. I have not had that issue. I've not had that issue before, so I continue to do it. I feel like when it's hot enough and you leave the figure in there long enough, it's just a lot easier to pop. So the hotter the water, the better, in my opinion. Again, I will say, I've said it in past videos, but for this one, please do not do this at home if you're under 18 with no adult supervision. Because it's boiling water, you have to use some sharp tools, screwdrivers, things like that to help crack the torsos. So please be careful. Use adult supervision if you're under the age of 18. All right, so once that water boils, I will show you the rest of the process. So while the water's starting to boil, you'll leave it at a boil. This is a different head I put on this figure, but I like to dunk the body in, make sure the feet hold there for that. I like to do one torso at a time, that way you're not heating one constantly. But you'll leave it there, you'll turn the heat off, and you'll let that sit for about a minute. It is 10:11 right now, so probably 10:12, 10:13. A minute to 2 minutes is what I typically will do. It lets them sit, and it lets the adhesive get hot. It melts it back down instead of it being hard again, and it'll allow us to pop the torso a lot easier. So that is what we're going to do. As well as that, before I forget, we're going to be taking the bottom half of these arms off, which I'll show you what that process looks like as well. So same thing, you'll dip those in there. Those you'll only need to put in there for about 30 seconds. So about 30 seconds, I'll show you guys what that looks like. What we're going to do with the arms is we're basically going to take the bottom half of these and turn them into arms that we can fit onto the Ultimate. The reason I'm using this Ultimate instead of the newer one is because I'll be able to take the joints off because they have the pins. I'll be able to take those off, and I'll be able to put these arms with this decal on that body, and then I'll be able to basically take these hands out of here, and we'll be able to put in new hands like it's one of the newer Elites. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take these arms off. What I do for that, same thing. I know there's lots of videos, lots of people do it, but I'm going to dunk him in the hot water, just the arms and the head, for about 30 seconds tops, just to make sure the head gets off, and then everything should pop off. Okay, so these are the typical tools I use. We use an X-Acto knife. Again, super sharp. Please, if you're under the age of 18, adult supervision. I use smaller screwdrivers. I have the thicker one here. Always use flatheads. So I have a thick-ish one, and then I have a skinny one, and this will be what I go under the torso with, and this is kind of how I use to pry to pop things off. But these are the tools I use. Typically, the 4 of these will do the job just right. I have the pliers to help me, just to kind of show you. Hot water, you see the bubbles still. So I use these to get the arms and parts that are buried out of there. So that's what I'll do here. Get the arms out, boop. Other arm out, boop. Okay. And then what you'll be able to do from here, this plastic will be, you just pop it off just like that. Same thing for this arm. Pop it off just like that. Christian's been in there long enough. We're going to take him out. We're going to put those to the side. Careful, the water is hot. Pop the head off, good to go. And then take the arms, pop those off, good to go. I'm going to pop the hands out now too as well. Once that arm's been in there, it'll be hot enough to just pop those out. And then take the elbow pad, because you're going to put this on the new figure once all the arm pieces are put back on. So get the elbow pads off, and now you can take these off. Pop, pop. This part always, this can be, just like that. So it could be super easy, or it can take a minute, and sometimes you might need to reheat the arms to get them soft again. In my case, while I was explaining, I did let it sit too long, so it got to the plastic hardened back up. So while we let the arms soak, we'll see. There should be plenty of time to have this done. So we're gonna pop this head off. We're gonna turn this into a head. Basically, we're gonna drill this out that can be popped easily on and off. This is the Elite 100 Stone Cold head. I feel like this is the best one that they've done. I don't know why they don't reuse it for everything. Okay, so he's been in there more than enough. So what you're gonna do, I learned this from Mania Figs, so you can look him up on YouTube. But you're gonna get the small screwdriver right in between there. This is the part that I like the X-Acto knife for. So you can see the lines. You'll get the X-Acto knife, and you can already see it popped pretty easily there. And then you'll use the small screwdriver, and that's when you're just going to kind of get that in there. Same thing, turn the body around, do that same exact thing with the screwdriver because it's already been popped once. And then you should be good to use the bigger one. You'll pop that here, you'll go in and pop that out. No damage was done to the figure or the body, so you're good to go. The Elite body is taken, or the Ultimate body is taken care of. We no longer need to do anything with that. All right. So now let's move those tools. We'll get these again. Boop. This should be soft enough now. You can put one of these, if it'll work for you, in there. Sometimes they like to be a pain. You know what? I'm going to try it this way first. Put that in there. Get that. And this is the longest process when it comes to these customs. So this part I'm not going to record. I'll maybe put in a time lapse, but this process, for me at least, it takes a few tries for me. So I got one done. So this is what the finished product will look like for that arm. Always want to make sure you have the right. This is what the finished product will look like. Boom, good to go. The biggest thing, we will need like the tattoo for the arm, but that's not a huge thing. So once you kind of get those on there, I like to put it back in the heat, in the water, and then you'll be able to just take that and be able to push that in to get that last piece in there. This one is being a little bit of a tool. Oh, this one's not wanting to work. See, it's always when I have the camera on when I can't get these things. But you should be able to push this down basically, and it'll pop back through the hole. I might not have left this one in for long enough. Yeah, hang on. I got to fix it, so pop it in. Boom! Now you have two arms again, okay? Christian arms are good, and then you'll be able to use those hands like I said. You can just pop them in. Booyah. The water's hot again, so now we're going to put the torso back in. Same way I did with the Ultimate torso. You're going to pop it in there. Make sure the feet are holding it that way. And then once that's done, turn the heat off, and you're going to let that sit for a couple minutes. Let that adhesive really break down. While we wait, I will put the Elite arms back together, because then we can still have a somewhat Elite Stone Cold still. So again, always make sure you have your pieces at the right areas, and then you'll just start with whatever arm you want to start with. I'll start with the left arm. Put that in there, about 10 seconds, something like that. Honestly, not even that long, because that plastic will simmer down a lot quicker, or get warm a lot quicker. So once that's done, Now you got to kind of force this little piece back into whatever side you want. And once that's a little through, that's when you'll poke it through the hole here. Okay, and then once that's through, like I said, I like to put that back in there, and that'll help me push it back through all the way. So now that that one's on, we'll go ahead and dunk that in there. Make that arm a little bit longer. Pop, poop. Okay, and then push. And now you have an arm. There you go, there's that one. This one was still in here, so hopefully this will be, it's not easier that way. Sorry, I was not going to say hopefully it'll be easier. It's not easier. You're going to want to take that out, at least in my opinion. Take that out, take the arm out, and then again, poke that through, get an arm in, poke it through, and sometimes it'll work right away, so you could try it. Woohoo, it did for me. Beautiful. Now you have Stone Cold arms for an elite. Which we will put on that torso, which that torso we're going to put on these legs, and then we'll have a Stone Cold Elite and a new, that way you're still basically recycling figures. It's nice. Keeps everything good. Nothing breaks. That's why I keep them in there for the time that I do. Alrighty. The torso for the Elite's been in there for about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes now. So I'm going to pull it out, see if it's ready. Sometimes I have noticed with the Elite torsos, at least the way that I pop them, they need a little bit longer, and sometimes you need to reheat the water. Okay, so we're going to take the Elite torso out. So like I said, the way that I pop an Elite torso, I take the whole torso apart. That way I'm not damaging anything. So with the Elites, I do use a bigger screwdriver because this will help me with the side pieces. Ow, I should probably grab the rag, I forgot. But, so yeah, this one's not really wanting to come apart yet. So I'll probably put that back in the water for a bit. When it's ready, this will kind of like when you put the screwdriver in the side arm here, that will typically just come apart real easy, but it's not yet, and I don't want to damage it because I do still want to try to use it for a new torso, for a different figure. So we'll put that back in the water for a little bit, let it soak, and then we'll come back to it. Got torso off. I forgot I wasn't recording. As you can see with this one though, like it did, there's a couple of points where the pins broke, but that's all right. That's what super glue is for. You just gotta make sure it's in the right places. For this bottom piece, what you'll do is you'll take your X-Acto knife and you'll place it right in the middle area where that notch is there. You see the sides that goes up into that. Take your X-Acto knife, plop it in there. That'll get you the space you need. And that's when you take your skinny screwdriver. That's the fat one. Skinny screwdriver, and you'll put it in there. Sometimes it takes a minute. Might need to try the side, or you might just need to try the X-Acto knife again. There we go. All right, we got that in there. Create a little bit of space, and then you can use your thicker one. And I would say in this case, this isn't coming apart. So the adhesive on this is definitely stronger than what I'm used to. I'll be honest. This is a good adhesive on the older Elites, but I'll put that back in there for a little bit. It'll soften it up, and then I'll be able to pop it off. I got it off. Again, this one had to break, but that's not a huge deal. We'll be able to super glue it. All right. And again, if you super glue it correctly and you get like some of the chunkier pieces off, it'll glue back together really nicely. You won't have to worry too much about what I mean by chunky pieces is any pieces that broke, you want to try to get those off. Again, if you're not 18, don't do this by yourself. Have someone help you. But yeah, you'll be able to just super glue all this back together, and I will show you that when we're fully done. This piece actually looks okay. Okay, so what that'll look like. Now you can, for the Elite torso, you'll just pop everything back together. So that'll sit on there nicely. What I like to do, I like to use Loctite. Looks like this. So the piece that's on there already, you'll go ahead, you'll put some super glue at the top, right there. You'll put some on the sides there, and there, and then you'll put some on a big circle in the middle. You got the glue in place. Now you can set that on there and then twist it a few times. Make sure that it's not gonna stick. And then you let that glue, I'll probably give that like 10 minutes. I'll let it seals pretty quickly, but I like to just give it extra time. So we'll set that to the side and then we'll work on that later. For the ultimate, same idea. You're gonna put that in there. You can kind of tell with this one, it should work, but it is a little tight. So I might be okay. I might sand this part down. You can kind of tell it's really thick up top. So you're gonna sand that down a little bit and it'll fit better, but for the sake of this, we're good to go here. And when curious, my younger child tripped. He's fine, he's good. So this is gonna be good. I did sand it down a touch, but not too much. So we sanded that down. This one came apart nicely. I will say maybe 80% of the torsos I pop, even when I leave them in there for a long time, pop nicely. You can tell, you know, with the Elite, sometimes they're just stuck together a lot better. But the big thing to do is just make sure that you're doing it as clean as you can. But this one came apart really nicely, which means it's going to go together just about the same. And as you can see, it's a little too tight still. And because of that, this is coming apart. So I am going to sand this down a bit more. I'm going to sand this piece down more, and then I'll be able to get those joints on there, and then I'll re-glue it because this isn't going to be something that I am taking apart again. All right, so this is the sand. I use a sand block, so you're literally just going to do this. You want to do it to your liking. I like it to be tight and not too loose. This was just way too tight. It was too stiff. There wasn't, the mobility was weird to me. So I'm going to sand it down. I don't know the grit on this. I've had it for a while. Honestly, I need to get a new one. But you'll sand that down to your liking. After you sand it for a little while, always just double check. But this is all I do. So you'll sand it down and then put it back in. It's still pretty tight. The body's pretty tight still. Ooh, playing with the mop over there. So we'll see. Bend that down. Make sure that little plastic part's in there still. And then do that. Okay, so you can kind of see now it's put back together much better. In terms of getting that to look fully sealed, I will need to put a little bit of glue in there. But we'll be able to have this Christian done in no time now. So I'm going to take this back apart. I'm going to put the glue in there. I'll have it, you know, kind of held shut for a minute, but joints are nice and tight. It's not too loose. And then once I glue that together, that'll look factory sealed again. And same thing on this end. We'll glue that piece down and it'll look factory sealed again. So I will show you the finished product, but that's the steps I'm going to take. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to glue it. I'll put, here, I guess I'll show that real quick. We could take this piece back off. The nice thing, like I said, because this one came apart so nicely, I'll be able to use all the prongs. So what we'll do, I'm going to put the glue on both of these and both of these. We'll put it back in there, hold it tight for a minute, and then it'll stay on there nice and tight. And I will show you the end look once we're all done. Same thing with the Elite. Finished product. So not technically finished, but this is a figure, like with this one, I mean, that's just going to go to my kids. I'm going to get that tattoo off just so that if I were to one day decide to make that into a normal figure, he would still be there. But that'll be for my kids. I mean, his arms are kind of loose, but that's because of the way the torso cracked. But yeah, it'll be going for my kids. This is the main event here. I mean, this is what we were really after. We have the Ultimate Edition Christian. I should have put sauce in. Hang on. There we go. Okay. So now we have, you know, E and C as Ultimate Editions. I did not stand him properly. Boop. There we go. Voila. So Edge and Christian as Ultimate Edition figures. Both from their respective timelines where they would have worn these gears as a tag team. I know it's not exactly accurate in terms of, like, they didn't wear these at the same time to my knowledge, but it's what we have and it's what we got. So, you know, we can do the 5-second pose now. Anyone with flash photography, now is your chance. But we have the Ultimate Editions ready to go. He's fully posable. He is good to go, good to play with. And the hands can pop in and out. So 100% almost an Ultimate. I'd say I'll work on the boots. I think I have an idea. If this is the only decal I need, I could probably paint that on to a pair of the Stone Cold boots. So I was looking at that before, but he is done. And I mean, this will be in my personal collection. This isn't an order I did for somebody. This is for me. But that's everything. This is the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good night. Bye.